Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our latest Q&A session as part of our 2022 Sustainable Business Series. I'm Raj Kandola, Head of Policy and Strategic Relationships at the Chamber. I'd like to welcome you all to today's session. Now, this Q&A will play a key part of the Sustainable Business Series and is being released as part of our Low Carbon Business Opportunities Week. Now, as you know, the Sustainable Business Series endeavours to tackle climate change by supporting business decarbonisation and to help build a resilient low-carbon economy. And today I'm delighted to say that we're joined by Mike Owens, Managing Director of Schumacher Packaging. Mike, how are you doing? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good, Raj. Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me.
No, thanks very much for joining us today. So can we just start off by you giving some background into Schumacher as an organisation, its history, what it's about, and what it's looking to do moving forward?
Sure, yeah. I'm sure a lot of people aren't aware of Schumacher Packaging. It's a German family-run company, one of the largest independent family-run corrugated and solid board packaging companies in Germany. It's been around since the mid-1940s, just post-Second World War, and is the shareholding is effectively held by the two brothers, Bjorn and Hendrik. It's very much at this point in time looking to expand both within Europe and the UK. The current site we're in is the first site that was acquired in November 2019. So we're very much on the upward path. And part and parcel of that is exactly what we're talking about today in terms of sustainability.
That's really interesting. So could you tell me a bit more about how your expansion plans are underpinned by a commitment to sustainability?
Yes, absolutely. Anybody that works for or has knowledge of German companies or the way Germans do business are very much community centric. So the culture and the strategy of sustainability is already embedded within the Schumacher outlook. It's got community at heart, both sustainability and well-being to that extent. So very much involved in local communities, and that's the expectation within Germany. As well, if we look at the product that we make, it is inherently sustainable in terms of where we source the product from and also in terms of closed loop. The product that we have is sourced from mostly European forests and is produced from thinnings and also damaged trees. Thinnings being where necessarily the forests will be, or areas of the forest will be cut down to allow growth. And mostly the product it will be pine. So for anybody out there that thinks that our products are all imported from the Amazon, that is a myth, and is not the case. It just would not be appropriate, or we couldn't use it for using paper anyway. So recycling in terms of and sustainability is part of the DNA of both Europe and Schumacher Packaging. More than 80% of corrugated and carton board is recycled in Europe, which is a remarkable amount when you consider the tonnage that goes through the packaging system. And also in terms of underpinning, if you think about the word sustainability is not only around the environment, but it applies to longevity. And as a supplier of a very important product, we have to be around for our customers, for our employees, and for the local community. And to that end, Schumacher has committed to invest more than £600 million between now and 2025 to upgrade and to expand, and particularly for us, which is great news in the UK.
Plans around kind of climate neutral production. Could you tell us a bit more about that, please?
It's very exciting in terms of particularly Schumacher. And one of the reasons I joined the company was exactly this. We're very much, it's uniquely for a German company, we're very much into, let's call it risk taking, being in the forefront of innovation. One of the big things for us outside of what I've just talked about in terms of the closed loop is we're moving very rapidly into digitalization. And by that, I don't just mean the technology that we all use day to day. We're the first company in the world to actually put a digital printer in front of the corrugated process, which means that we can print digitally onto our substrate before it goes into the corrugation process. And that is, as I say, that is a world first. It's been 7 years in the planning and installation, and that actually is now up and running in our plant in Northwest Germany, in a place called Graven. We've also, what that does mean is that we reduce waste, because digitalization, there is very little setup, if any, and there's no waste because you print what you print. It all comes out in exactly the same way, the same format, and the same quality. At the same time, we've also put in a system which is called iPrep, which takes the reels of paper automatically via a car to the corrugator. And at this point in time in our site, again in Northwest Germany, we're saving 274 tons of CO2 per annum. In other respects, what we're already doing, and remember as well, some of this is going on in Europe, which will then be translated into us for the UK, which again is extremely exciting. We're reusing the steam that we generate from our processes to generate electricity and heat. And currently that is saving 500 tons of CO2 at one of our plants in Germany. We also are looking, of course, at the bioenergy options. Again, the packaging we produce is apt for that. Other things that we are doing currently at the moment is solar. We have solar parks at 2 of our plants, and our aim is by 2035 to be producing 25% of our total needs through solar parks. We also, in terms of logistics, are trialing electric vehicles as we speak, and things that people will recognize on a day-to-day basis. We're encouraging the whole of the company in terms of company cars to go down the hybrid and particularly electric route. Actually, I'm currently driving an electric car, which is sometimes a challenge in itself. But I'm getting used to it, and I wouldn't actually go back now, I don't think. In terms of other electrification, we're purchasing electric forklift trucks to replace diesel, which of course in itself has the eco-friendly side of it. And in terms of logistics, we're using larger capacity vehicles, which means we're cutting our CO2 emissions by 30%. So outside of that, I mean, this is a long list of stuff that we're currently doing and is being rolled out to other plants. On the other side of that, in terms of engagement, in terms of what we're doing with bodies, both world and local bodies, we are signatories to the United Nations Global Compact. We've been signatories since June 2022, and essentially that is centered around sustainable and responsible corporate governance, not just for the environment, but in terms of human rights, labour, and anti-corruption. We were also contributors to the after invitation to COP26 in Glasgow, where certain industry leaders were asked to give their opinions on how we could move forward. So that was a real honour, and very effective for us to bring back into our own business and understand what we should be doing and how quickly we can do it to meet the targets that were set at that meeting. We're also a member of what is called Climate Partner, and that's been since 2018, which essentially is a body that calculates your CO2 balances. And as part of that, we are actually heavily involved in a project in Uruguay in terms of reforestation. So it's not just the local economy or the local community that we're getting involved in. It's actually, we're committed globally to work with these bodies to meet targets, to set ourselves targets, and to innovate around that. We also are audited by a body called EcoVadis, which again is centered around environmental standards, human rights standards, protection, ethics, and sustainable procurement, which I've gone through previously in terms of where we get our paper from. And our plant in Wrocław in Poland is in the top 1% globally for that. Certain other plants that is a platinum status. Certain other plants have achieved gold and silver status. And lastly, in this respect, perhaps something we don't do here, maybe as perhaps just European, is that we go for, when we're financing, we go for what we call green funding, which essentially is funding based around ethical and environmental strategies and policies. So as a business, Schumacher Packaging itself is heavily involved in moving forward in a sustainable and environmentally friendly way. What are we doing already in Birmingham, specifically at this site? We are FSC compliant. FSC is Forestry Stewardship Council, which again monitors the sourcing of our paper. We are installing, and by the end of this month, the middle of next, full-scale automation, which will reduce the need for wood in terms of pallets, and forklift truck movement within our facility here, which again will reduce our CO2. 100% of the waste that we generate from our process goes into recycling, and that's around 1,200 tons per annum. We have just put in 110 replacement LED lights, and that is saving us 77 tons of CO2 per annum. We've installed charging points. We're encouraging people to cycle to work, which is a funded scheme, which people I guess will recognise, which has been sort of played with over the years, but I think now is the time to really get people encouraged in looking at options other than cars and other modes of transport. And in terms of the Birmingham community, things that people may recognise, we are and have been contributors and continue to be to the Big Sleep Out organised by St Basil's charity for reducing youth homelessness. And again, we were doing it this year, the last Friday in November. And lastly, we've gone on board with Birmingham Moseley Rugby, not only as a sponsor, but also in terms of their engagement with the local community to get kids within that area involved in sport, but also made more aware around health and protection. So there is a lot going on for us. And actually, in terms of where we have been and where we are right now, there's been such a lot going on in the year that I will have been here on October the 1st. And sometimes you have to take a sit back and think, crikey, we've achieved a lot. But yeah, very pleased with what's going on, but there's a lot more to come, as I think we'll talk about next.
Yeah, no, completely. And that's fantastic to hear about all the initiatives you're involved in, both home and abroad. So, as you know, you've talked about the local community. We know the West Midlands Combined Authority has a commitment to reach net zero by 2041. Birmingham City Council, likewise 2030. How do you think the work of Schumacher helps align to those broader regional objectives?
I would sum that up with one word: perfectly. Our aims are based on 2035, but remember that is for us as a global company. In terms of Birmingham, we're very well aware. I'm very well aware of the aims of the City Council, of the Combined Authority. We, as you know, we continue to engage with these bodies. Not only yourselves, the Combined Authority, the growth company, the City Council, but also bodies like Make It UK. So, you know, what that allows us to do is understand what other people are doing, is to convey the message in terms of what we're doing, and align those. And I think for all the reasons that, particularly in the first question, for all the reasons and the initiatives that we're giving there, we fit in extremely well with the aims of the City Council. I mean, let's look at what we're intending to do. The intention is to build another facility within this region. What opportunities does that give us? Well, it gives us the opportunity to build from greenfield. It gives us the opportunity to build around the BREEAM status, which is the Building Research Establishment Environmental Assessment method. It gives us the opportunity to build smart buildings, which have already inbuilt energy efficiencies. It gives us the ability to look at things like, I'm sure technologies coming up will be, for example, hydrogen. It gives us the opportunity to look at wind turbines. It also gives us the opportunity to look more into how we can regenerate our own electricity, for example, and heat through the processes that we have. And remember, this will be in a much bigger scale. We're talking about you know, a facility which is considerably larger than the one we're in at the moment. So you have that critical mass. It gives the opportunity to work with developers around ecosystems. And a big thing for me in terms of people and community development, it gives us a huge opportunity to build in the training requirements, the community requirements, whatever that might be. We might be talking here about academies, training academies, community areas. And I know that's a big thing. Some of the developments I've seen going on around Birmingham, that's a big thing for everybody associated. Community spaces. But overall, I think, remember as well that when we're talking about sustainability, if you remember, if I go back to what I said originally, sustainability for employees, sustainability for people. So gives us the opportunity as well to build in employee safety, employee well-being, and ultimately a word which we don't really hear very much these days, happiness. I think if you give the employees the environment in which they want to come to work, and I still think very important, I'm getting slightly off the subject, but it's very important that we have face-to-face, particularly in manufacturing. We can't do it without people being around people every day of the week. So if you can produce a happy environment, then I think you're 90% of the way there. And I think what we want to do, and what the City Council wants to do, and the rest of the bodies around the West Midlands, it just dovetails perfectly in terms of that. So I'm really excited to be working with the bodies that we're working with. Really excited to be moving forward, and I think really excited to be moving forward in a region that embraces everything that we're talking about.
Mike, that's absolutely fantastic. Really appreciate you giving that update today and sharing some of the exciting plans that are on the horizon, and that spirit of collaboration, which is obviously underpinned by the commitment to sustainability moving forward. So thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you to everyone that joined us today as well. As a reminder, this is part of our wider Sustainable Business Series, which is running throughout October and November. A series of webinars, Q&A sessions, blog posts, but also in-person events, which focus on a range of topics, as we've discussed today, covering anything from how to reduce money on your energy bills, decarbonising in your own business, looking at low carbon business opportunities, and also thinking about climate risk and adaptation. And we'll culminate with an in-person conference, which is taking place on the 2nd of November. All of these events are free to attend for businesses across the region, thanks to our sponsors, Aston University, University of Birmingham, and Shakespeare Martineau. And if you'd like any further details on any of the events that I've mentioned, then please do visit our website. Many thanks.